And this is the heat press that I bought. Continuing with the theme of wasting money or not really knowing what it is that you're going to buy or what it is that you're going to need. This is something that I picked up on eBay. It's from China. The directions that came with it are in Chinese. They're not very clear. But the thing that I do like about this is that it came with all these other little different hot plates. So this one you could actually use for like smaller projects. This is actually the heating source, and it plugs into the little computer thing right here. And this is, you know, when we turn it on, we go into settings, we can set our temperature, we can set our timer, and you know, it's different degrees, whether it's Celsius or Fahrenheit. So like I said, this one came with these other different heating elements. We have this larger circle thing, and then we got this one. I use this for like smaller decals or things that are getting pressed where I don't want to use the whole large swing away thing. It also came with this one is for like shirts. So this is actually the base. So this, you actually just pull this out. This sits in there, and then you could do hats. Sometimes I do the inside of the shirts with this one. And then this one's for like cups. So you can actually, I haven't used it, but you can actually use like tumblers and things like that. So would I get this one again? Probably not. Mostly just because of the size. As you can see, it takes up a lot of room. You know, you have to have room for the swinging of the element back and forth. A lot of times if you're trying to line something up and then this comes back and it will kind of throw your thing off alignment. Another thing that I think is pretty limiting is the depth of this. So if you have like a shirt that you're trying to press, and then sometimes your design kind of overlaps, or it's harder to center things, whereas I think that if this was a little bit longer, like a 16 by 20 with a little pull-out drawer, it would be a lot better. So just kind of consider how much space you have to work with, and just remember that this thing does get hot, so maybe having it inside like a small room would not be the best idea. This is the Cameo 3 that I have. It's right here. You can see the different settings. Little tool thing. There's this. You put like your tools in there. Something like this. It sits in there. I don't really use it, but it's there. This is where you load your vinyl. And this is actually the mat thing that comes with it. And this is actually like sticky, so you can stick your vinyl in here, and then you just kind of line it up, and you would hit the button that says load, and now it's ready to go. So here we have the software that comes with the Cameo 3. It's Design Studio, I believe. I did pay for the upgraded version, and it just gives you more control and ability to import your files from Illustrator or Photoshop. If you look here at the top right, we have you can select the size of the area that we want to work in. We can also select the orientation, and where it says cutting mat, that's that mat that I showed you earlier, and you can select which one you're going to be using as far as how big your design you're going to be using. You can also set the orientation of your artwork, and if we look at this design, it's a 2-color design, so it's going to be layered. And you look at the boxes that I have these little red boxes. They're called registration marks, and I'll show you how you line those up, and they become really helpful when you have different designs that are maybe multicolored or you want to place them on top of each other. So here we're zoomed in a little bit more so that way it's easier to see, and these boxes just make it easier for you to line up your artwork instead of trying to line up the little individual lines. You basically just line up the big boxes. It's kind of self-explanatory, but it's confusing in the beginning, trying to match everything up. But there's a lot of videos out there that will show you how to go about this, and if you guys have questions, you know, send me a message and I'll try to walk you through it. But here you see we're just kind of trying to get it right, and once you've done that, you're happy with it, you can right here. So actually we're just trying to make sure that it's the right size, because we're only going to be cutting one of these designs at a time, but we just want to make sure that they're both the same size, so when we go to put it on the shirt it fits perfectly and you're not trying to guess the size. So here we'll pull back, we'll move our design out of the working area, which is the highlighted white area with the red box around it, and the red box is just kind of like your edge, so everything needs to be inside the red box. Another thing that I should mention is that working with vinyl, you need to make sure that your image is mirrored, and what I mean by that is that it's inverted basically. So we'll flip it vertically, and that's how it should normally look, you know, from left to right. That's our image, how it's going to be on the shirt. But in order to cut it in the vinyl properly, we need to mirror it. So if you ever hear or if you ever read that your design needs to be mirrored for whatever reason, just make sure that's what they're talking about, because if not, then your design is going to come out backwards on your shirt. And so here we don't really care about our registration marks being actually printed, because they're just our reference for ourselves in making sure that we have the right size. And once that's all set up, you just want to make sure that your design is actually in the red boxes, and then you can go and get your design over to where it says send, and that takes us to this screen. And here we can make our last adjustments before our design actually gets cut out. We can have it be cut out by color. So if I had my other part of this design in here and I had it a different color, I can actually have it be cut out at the same time or at a different time. But because we're using two different colors of vinyl, it doesn't make sense to have it on here. You can also select what type of material. So the Cameo 3 can cut cardstock, it can cut fabric, you can put a pin in there and it'll draw a design for you. And you can also select the pressure if it's like a thicker vinyl, and you can set the speed. And I don't really mess with all that, I just select the vinyl mat. And the one thing that I do is when I'm making something that's really detail oriented, I slow down the speed, and then on the right there's a little triangle, and I check the box, and that way when it goes around the corner, the blade lifts instead of it making like a complete turn. The blade will actually lift up and start a new cut, and I just find that it makes the cuts a lot nicer and smoother. So you know, for this design I usually select that. So now that we have our design ready to go, this is the vinyl we're going to be using. It's the EASYWEED. So there's two sides to this. There's a matte side and there's a shiny side. So the shiny side is actually like the backing. So we're going to put this on the mat and line it up. And then we're going to put it on our mat and This thing right here, there's these little, I don't know if you can see them, but there's these little arrows right there, and you just kind of line it up with that. So, there, you go load, and now you're ready to go. So then you do one last check, make sure all our settings are the way we want them, make sure our vinyl's set properly, and then we hit send, and it'll give us the time estimate, and it works pretty fast. Usually everything takes about less than 5 minutes. You know, sometimes bigger designs might take longer, but I usually do this while I'm doing homework, so it just kind of works in the background. So now that our design is cut out, we'll use some of these tools and weed out the vinyl and have our design ready to go. This does take some time to get used to, and you know, just put some music on and kind of jam out while you knock some of these out. So now that we have that done, there's a pro tip right here, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of them. This is waxing paper, so as you can see I already have some that are kind of cut out. So you actually just use this baking sheet paper at this the 99-cent store. And you just place it on there, and now it's, you know, it's non-stick. So you just not stick on there. So you can save this for later. You put it in a Ziploc bag, you know, put it in a container, and you can have multiple things just ready to go. You know, quick tip on that. So now that our designs are ready to go, we can come to the heat press, and these are some of the tools that I use to line up my artwork. So here I have a kind of like a half square, just use that for the right angle, and then a ruler and some high temperature tape. This comes in handy if you have some designs that you kind of have a hard time aligning, so you can align it and then tape it in place and then press it with that. And then this is a laser that you can use as well to make like a straight line. You know, you'll find different ways to align your artwork, and it takes a while to get the hang of it. So now we can turn on our heat press. We want to make sure we follow the recommended guidelines as far as the temperature and the time limit on it. And since we're going to be printing on a sleeve, these are just cut up mouse pads that we use to avoid getting interference from the seams. And that's just like a cheap mouse pad, and it's just a little trick to have a nice smooth surface to press our vinyl onto. So once you have your material the way you want it, you want to give it a quick pre-press. This is just going to kind of even it out, get the wrinkles out, take some of the moisture out, and so that way your material can stick, and it just provides you with like a better surface to print onto. A lot of times you might have some lint or some debris on there. You might want to use like a lint roller. I haven't ran too much into that, but I do like to do like a pre-press. So then you just grab your base here. Since this is a 2 color that we're gonna do, our bottom white is just gonna get a short press. So it's kind of like just tacking it on. We're gonna do maybe 4 seconds on that, and then we'll put the top layer on, and then we'll run it for the whole recommended time, and that's our finished product. So that was vinyl. This right here is a Plastisol transfer sheet, and they come in handy if you're going to be doing a lot of the same designs. So this is actually Plastisol ink that's been screen printed onto a transfer sheet and then treated. So for this one, you would actually just place it on your design directly, and it would just transfer the ink onto your shirt or your material. So this is also something that you can consider. It's faster than sitting there and weeding all those designs out and, you know, having your machine cut them. But they're also kind of more expensive, so just something to consider if you're going to be doing large production runs. And there's a link for that below. There's different companies that offer them, and they come in different sizes, and you can check them out and see what you guys think of them. So I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful. You know, I really enjoy doing this, and even though it can be frustrating at times, like here you'll see sometimes the vinyl doesn't stick right. A lot of times it's operator error. You know, so you just got to tweak your settings, make sure that you're following the directions. Important things to take notice of is the recommended time. So make sure that your heat press is actually set to the right time and the correct temperature. You know, because if you overdo it, it's like baking, so it will actually crack and undo some of that glue. There is products out there that they sell to remove vinyl, and I'll put the link for that below as well. And you can also just use an iron and heat the back of your design and use tweezers to pull it off, because the heat just kind of undoes the glue. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys around.